The case against the driver of the minibus taxi that was involved in the deadly crash that claimed the lives of 14 learners in the Vaal has now been postponed until March. The driver appeared briefly in the Vanderbijlpark Magistrates Court. He's facing several charges, including 14 of murder. Newzroom Afrika's Nqobile Madlala is in Sebokeng. Officials are expected to visit the two families whose children passed away in hospital over the last 12 hours or so. Nqobile, good afternoon to you. Developments in court and, of course, a very difficult day, an impossible day for these families.
Well, indeed, Stephen. In fact, as we were starting court, we also received a statement by the SAPS saying that it's now 14 of the learners that have passed away. You'll remember for the past couple of days it was just 12. It was 12 learners, and now added with 2 more learners passing away, which meant that the docket now that was coming into court had 14 cases of culpable homicide. As we enter into court, we are told that it's no longer culpable homicide, it is murder. And we understand from the NPA that they're saying that they have strong evidence, and when they perused the evidence that they had, it showed that this was not just a culpable homicide case, it was actually a murder case. Now, you will remember from some of the briefings that we got where the minister was part of, she did explain that the department had handed over as much evidence as they can to the police, and this will also include the video which we have seen being shared by the truck company, which shows those last moments before the accident took place. Also, just briefly before the court case started, we heard from the defense just saying that actually the 22-year-old has now abandoned bail. But of course, we understand from the NPA that they would have actually gone against it anyways if he went on to ask for bail. But let's listen in as Lumka Mahanjana explains further.
At this stage, the case is of 14 counts of murder, because when we perused the docket, we saw that there is sufficient evidence within the docket to charge the accused with the charges of murder as opposed to culpable homicide. There are different pieces of evidence that the NPA considered when they preferred this charge. Hence, we believe that as the state, we do have a prima facie evidence to charge the accused with the charges of murder. There is a case that the accused needs to answer to. As a result, if the accused did not abandon his bail today, the state was surely going to oppose his release on bail. So you must know that he's facing 14 counts of murder. Those are very serious charges. And also he's facing 3 counts of attempted murder, and also 3 other charges of contravening the Trafficking Act. So with the 3 counts of attempted murder, it is those learners that are currently in hospital. So they are alive. We thank God for that. And hence now we preferred those charges of attempted murder.
And for those families that was actually in court, you could feel just how tense court was. You could see also just how difficult it had been for them. Most of them, you could see that they were quite emotional as they were sitting in the benches. And of course, rightfully so, having lost about 14 lives to this accident is quite overwhelming for many families. And for others, it's even more as they've lost more than one member. Now, what we know as well is that those families listened in quite carefully to understand what is the way forward and where really to get that sense of to be consoled from what was taking place. But as we were speaking to some of them outside, you could see that it's still fresh, it's still very raw, and it's still hurting. And we saw when we were with the officials as they went to different families that it was very difficult for people to accept what had taken place. It is, after all, very young children that we're talking about here that have lost their lives. So it was quite heartbreaking to see just what the families are going through. And we got a chance to be able to speak to one of those families that were there, who were also listening into that court case. Let's listen in as the Khatebe family speaks.
You can't complain. I believe everything happens for a reason, but let this be a lesson for each and every taxi owner or any driver that is driving to be very cautious and do some introspection and monitor cars. It must go to the taxi industry, people who are in the taxi industry, to understand and to try to to see how serious this matter is, because we lost not only my Mshana, but we lost 14 lives. So I think it's really important to do some self-introspection as owners. Know that before handing a car, you must introspect if the disc is liable. Go renew your disc. You can't be risking. I also feel that the owner of the car is also was reckless not to introspect that the disc was expired and whatnot. So can you just try to check ukuthi imoto zethu are they roadworthy to go, because this is gonna happen again and we're not gonna say it was a mistake. This is really not a mistake.
That is the representative from the Khatebe family. Now we understand that they lost Moshe Khatebe, who was in grade 11 in Vanderbijlpark School. And you'll remember that school lost about 3 learners from that accident alone. And they had a memorial today for those learners that they had hosted within the school. But we also know that with these 2 families that have just lost their loved ones, we understand that the MEC, as well as some of the officials in the department, are expected to now go visit those families. So we're expecting for that visit to take place any moment from now, Stephen.
Nqobile Madlala, thank you very much indeed for that update.